Hi, I'm Tyler from Centerpoint Church. In Matthew chapter 21, verse 20, we begin to read the events of Holy Tuesday. The events of this day are also found in Mark and Luke and partially in John, but Matthew gives the most attention to this day and to the parables that Jesus taught on this Tuesday. From morning to evening, this Tuesday was full. After passing by the withered fig tree that Jesus had spoken to and cursed, he enters into the temple and he begins to teach. The Son of Man, who Luke says set his face to go to Jerusalem in Luke chapter 9, verse 51, is now in the twilight of his ministry here on earth. The shadow of the cross has begun to lengthen as Jesus' time to die draws near. In this shadow, Jesus begins to press in on the objections of the religious leaders of his day. Repeatedly, he's asked by the religious leaders, "On what authority do you do these things?" Or, "Teacher, how would you answer this question?" Jesus answers these questions with the authority that he and he alone has. He demonstrates grace, certainty, and confidence. These were questions that had confounded the scholars of his day, questions that were based on false presuppositions, questions that were intended to corner the one that would hear them and attempt to answer them, questions that were intended to put people immediately on the defensive. But with each answer, Jesus is clear, and he is different from his peers. Who is this man? He's the one with authority given to him by his Father in heaven. On this Holy Tuesday, nearly 2,000 years ago, the Son of God stood in the temple and put his authority on display in such a way that others were astonished at his teaching, and they marveled in silence. To read the events of this Holy Tuesday is to see plainly the authority of Jesus. This man is different. He speaks with certainty. He speaks with confidence. He speaks with clarity. But more importantly, this man put his teachings to practice. No one could say of him, "Beware of the hypocrisy of this man." Jesus had continually given himself to the good of others. He came to the helpless and the harassed. He, unlike the Pharisees, did not neglect the weightier matters of the law. Instead, he displayed justice and mercy perfectly wed together in his time here on earth. As daylight began to fade, Jesus began to teach on what would come. He was clear in his teachings. There will come a day when persecution will fall on those who bore his name. There will come a day when the world would reject the message of the cross. There would be some who would not persevere to the end. And there would be some who would give their lives as martyrs to their great King. Some would grow apathetic in awaiting his return. Yet, some would be active in their faith, demonstrating obedience even to the very end. Jesus tells his disciples the dangers that are to come and the challenges that will be against those who work for the King and for the kingdom. Through multiple parables, Jesus would teach that those who persevere to the end would receive their reward. Matthew brings Jesus' Tuesday to an end with his prophetic words of a final judgment. He says in Matthew chapter 25, verse 32 through 34, "Before him will be gathered all the nations, and he will separate people one from another as the shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will place the sheep on his right, but the goats on his left. And then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world.'" So as we reflect on Holy Tuesday, let us be reminded that Jesus has authority. That he is the author and giver of life. That he has redeemed us for a purpose. That he has laid his life down for the sinner so that the sinner might live for him. Let us live under the authority of our great King, Jesus. Next, let us be reminded that he will come again. You see, Jesus is clear. Some will grow weary in waiting while he has departed. May we be those who were chosen to enter into the wedding feast. May we be those who stand at his right and hear the words, "Come, you who are blessed by my Father, inherit the kingdom prepared for you from the foundation of the world." Blessings.
Sin had left a crimson stain. He washed it white as snow.